Hi, welcome to Naptime Nutrition. I'm Yaffi Lvova, registered dietitian, nutritionist, and owner of Baby Bloom Nutrition. And today with me is the fabulous Nicole Spracale. Did I say that right?
You did.
All right. I meant to clarify that first. And we have been having some technical issues today, so it makes today's subject particularly apropos. So we're going to be talking today about work-life balance and how to cope when there are hiccups, like technology hiccups. And I specifically wanted to talk, because I often have guests on to talk about things that I have difficulty with. We wanted to talk specifically about the whole working mom scenario, like work at home mom scenario, where a lot of times in today's day and age, we choose to stay at home with kids. We have the choice and we prefer to stay at home, but it's not always possible financially or for sanity reasons. And so a lot of times we reach out for an outlet that's different than our kids. And a lot of times that falls on a business. And sometimes that's a business like mine with Baby Bloom Nutrition, and you do Toddler Test Kitchen and Naptime Nutrition. Or sometimes it's an MLM, like selling books or selling lipstick. But a lot of times we have moms trying to balance their business and their kids. So let's talk about that. What kind of advice do you have, Nicole?
Yeah. So first off, thank you for working through all this with me and having this conversation. And yeah, I think that finding that way to make everything work is it's rewarding and it's challenging. And I think the biggest thing to remember is that you got to take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to do everything, and you don't have to do it all at one time. It's really about figuring out what are your priorities, and then what are you going to do when, and saying that whatever you're going to be doing at that moment deserves its full attention, and just to be present with that. And whether that's a work task or a household task or time with your kids, to enjoy those moments and give it everything. And when those projects or those tasks or those amount of time that you've devoted to that item is done and you move on to the next thing, that you give that item 100%. Because if you're fully present in whatever you're working on at that moment, you're going to enjoy it that much more, and you're going to be that much more successful at it. And if it involves another person, that other person's going to appreciate your time and your energy and your effort that much more. And that's really the trick. It's instead of trying to balance everything, because I don't really believe there's such a thing as balance. We don't stop being a mom when we're working. We don't stop being a wife when we're being a mom. And we don't stop being whatever our job is when we're playing mom and playing wife, right? We're always that same person, 24/7, 365. So instead of looking to balance it, enjoy all of it and just be present.
I think it's so interesting that so often when I have guests on to talk about I had a parenting coach on to talk about discipline or the lack of discipline and how to approach your kids with that. And I've had different professionals come on to make up the gaps in my own knowledge, because I don't know everything. Surprise. It's just funny how there are just recurring themes. How what you're saying about balancing life and work and enjoying things in the moment is exactly how I talk about food. And it's funny because we can take the same concepts, but it's so difficult, even for those of us teaching these concepts, to make those concepts apply to different areas of our life. But when you hear someone talk about it, when I talked to Kel Siddiqui about financial planning, it's amazing how these different topics have such common threads, and how if we can commit to appreciating what's in front of us in that moment, in whatever that is, if that's food or if that's time with family or if that's your checkbook, it's amazing how it's just the common theme among professionals across different genres.
Yeah, it really is just about keeping it simple and having a plan and planning for everything. And, I've shared with you, and I think we even talked about it on the radio show we were on together, that I'm a really big believer in organization and having these time blocks and having things organized. And then within that, having space for chaos and having space for fun, right? And if you get over planned and over organized, you'll drive yourself crazy.
I don't have that risk.
and in business, we call it analysis paralysis, right? We're trying to just like get so everything analyzed that we get paralyzed by the moment. And I'm sure that there's something similar to that in food, right? Where we're like getting so over analyzed in the macros that we like fail to eat anything.
Yep.
So, it's finding like this way to control it enough that you prepare so you get through 80 to 90% of it, the Pareto rule, and then the rest of the time allow for some chaos and then just have fun. And then
so it's like where I advocate meal planning, but you don't have to stick to the menu. It's more so you have an appropriate shopping list and you can wing it. You can change taco night for something else that's got some similar ingredients or switch nights altogether. So yeah, so chaos within structure, and that helps us to balance ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent you that article from Costco Connection about the myth of the work-life balance.
Right.
I thought it was a good point, and it's a point that you reiterated in your comment, saying that there really is no ideal. It's like chasing a fairy tale, this idea that you have work and you have your family and they can be entirely separate, because they're never going to be. You're going to get text messages that you have to answer. You're going to have an idea that has to be written down in crayon on the wall or whatever writing surface. It's going to, one area of life is going to bleed into the next. Mm-hmm. So finding the sweet spot where your priorities align with your actions is really the goal.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing that's really important, though, is to not compare yourself to anybody else. So what's your idea of a priority or the way the day should look or who does what in a household is okay. And you shouldn't worry if it's somebody else's different or the same. So if you're a mom and you're a stay-at-home mom and you're working a side gig, and for you, it fulfills you, it takes care of your family, and you're able to do all of that and do it in 10 hours a week, and that's making everything work, and you're loving your life, then that's perfect. And if for somebody else, that's not fulfilling or that's not what works for their life, and they need to go out and they need to work a full-time job in an office, then that's what's right for them. And for someone else, it might be an entrepreneur. It's not for anybody else to judge someone else's life, nor should we also look at that and say, I'm not good enough or I'm not holding up to that, because we all walk to our own drum, and whatever that path that we're on, that's the right path for us.
It's true, and it's a really good point. And there was some research about how kids benefit from which dynamic do kids benefit best. And the underlying answer was kids benefit when their parents are happy.
Right.
And so if you're working and hating it, then maybe there's a different way. I mean, I'm not in anyone's life. I can't really make that call. But if you're staying home and you're hating it, go get a job, get out of the house, find a way to make that work, because there is validity there, and we are all walking in different shoes, and we've all got a different brand of Cheerios stuck to the bottom of that shoe. So nobody can judge. So it's not that kids are happier when the mom stays at home, and it's not that kids are happier when mom's working. It's that kids are happier when the mom can find her balance. Yeah. And wherever that is, that's what needs to happen. And I think there's a lot of guilt surrounding that as well. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to bring that up. I don't have any answers as far as the guilt. We all do what we have to do, but the truth is that if you're home and hating it, maybe try to find some way to get out of the house to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there isn't a good answer for that. Although I will say that, I'm the product of two parents that worked, and I don't think that I'm worse for the wear. And yet my husband had an amazing mom that was home most of the time, and he's terrific too. So I think that the example that you're bringing up is that we both had families that really loved what they were doing.
Yeah.
And, I know we're we're two people out of 7 billion or something. So we're not a good sample size. But I think that that's really what it is that, if you love what you're doing every day, what's the expression? You don't live to work, you work to live, right?
Right.
But work needs to be, that definition of work should be your passion and should be your purpose. And if you find that, then the rest all falls into place.
It's true. I recently had a guest on she's a therapist. We talked about postpartum depression, Keisha Smith, and she posted, I think it was this morning or yesterday, who knows, it all runs together, but she did something about how we all wear different glasses. And if you examine your life through your neighbor's glasses, you're always going to be seeing something blurry, and I'm paraphrasing here, but we need to look at our own lives through our own lenses. Your prescription, assuming you wear glasses, your prescription is for you. And someone can't just come along and pick up your glasses and benefit from them. So in the same way, you need to put on your own glasses when looking at your life.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. Great analogy.
I loved it. I tried to get her to make it public so I could share it. So you sent me some, now I have to find this again. You sent me some memes to help along the conversation. So let's talk about a couple of those. There we go. Okay, so here's the Dr. Seuss one. Okay. So what did you like about this? What hit you?
Well, it reminded me of the book. In some ways, the book, all I ever really needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what got me was actually the very last line, where today I shall behave as if this day will be remembered. Is like, be present. Whatever you're going to do, this is the day you're going to have as a memory. So do it. I talk a lot about living your purpose. Mm-hmm. And so whatever you're doing, live your purpose, be present, and make this day a memory, right?
Yeah.
And don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about it, but just live it to your best of your ability and make sure it's a memory and always be present.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get it all done, I've said this to so many people, I'm like, who knows what you were supposed to get done today besides you? So if you didn't get it all done, who exactly is going to know? Right?
I think my kids would know if they were sitting at the dinner table and there was nothing on their plate. They'd probably know.
Okay. So those are like your biggest priorities. But, we all make these crazy lists and then we're like, oh, I didn't get through the whole, but nobody else knows that problem, right?
Yeah.
So don't put pressure on yourself. It's not like, don't put your list of 100 things that you have to do on Facebook. Probably not a good place
maybe only as you cross things off.
Right? But you should probably, matter, like, and we were talking earlier about moms who have side gigs, right? And if you're doing that, like, what are your big three? Whether you have a side gig, you are doing the hardest job that I think that's in the world, which is being a mom full time. I work the whole time because for me, I can't, bless everybody who does that. I could not do that job. Be a full-time mom. I don't have patience. You have amazing patience. I do not.
I think I really don't.
So, whatever job you're doing, you should always have 2 or 3 things that you're working on that you can do great, not 100. So if you want to put 3 things out there that people are going to hold you to, great. But don't put 100 out. It's those small changes. And it's like, if you're going to lose weight, or you're going to eat healthy, or you're going to go to the gym, or you're going to do this, pick 2 or 3 things you're going to work on, and that's it, not 100.
Right.
And then you can be really proud of yourself, and it all gets done. And we're not overwhelmed.
Yeah. And of course, from my perspective, losing weight shouldn't be on your list, but that's a whole other.
I know. Unless it's for like serious health reasons, because it's, medically necessary.
That's a whole other conversation. But
sorry, I realized what I was saying, and yes.
No, it's funny. It's funny. We got to keep it real, right?
We do.
Okay, so there was this Dilbert one that you sent me. It's funny because the whole joke is there is no life-work balance.
Right.
It's just sad. Thank you for having never had a life, and we don't want our whole life to just be work. We don't want to get to those pearly gates, so to speak. And that was what we accomplished, was making enough money to survive. And that was our whole life.
Right. Right. Like, I've said this, when I've coached executives, we've had this conversation of what is it going to be that you're remembered by? And, I've said, have you ever walked through a cemetery? Nowhere in that cemetery does it say, here lies the CEO, or here lies the president of the company, or here lies the person who works 60 hours a week. Right.
Right.
Now, the contributions that people make to the world are vastly important, and those things, absolutely. So it's the output of your work, but it's not your job title or, those kind of things. And so defining yourself just by your work, I don't think that's how anybody really wants to be remembered.
Right. I think that's true. And I remember I used to be a graduation photographer. I've had a lot of different jobs. So I've heard a lot of inspirational speeches and some not as inspirational. But something I remember once, it was at one of the ASU graduations, and this guy was saying, a big corporate executive was talking to a small fisherman, and the guy had one boat, and he went out, he fished a little, he brought home the fish, they ate the fish, he raised his family. And the guy said, why don't you get 5 boats and you can hire people under you? And it was this whole thing about establishing this huge company. And the fisherman said, what's the point? Well, so one day you can retire to a small fishing village and take your boat out and fish a little and come back and eat your day's catch. And the whole thing was, the goal was what this guy was living in that moment.
Right.
And the whole purpose of this stress and building this company was to get back exactly where he was, maybe with some higher numbers in the bank. I mean, not that that's not to be spoken of, but it's the whole idea. What's your purpose? What's the end goal?
Right. And so it is really understanding all of that. And and Dilbert's always cracked me up because, there's just the irony in all of those cartoons are always good for me.
It was kind of a statement. It was an appropriate statement, especially for this talk. So there was one more that you sent me. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities.
Yes.
And this is exactly what you were talking about with the time blocking, how you're going to look at your schedule and block off different pieces of time for different tasks so you can focus on the task at hand and enjoy what you're doing.
Yes. And, I'm a huge Stephen Covey fan. He's someone who I've always just loved some of his speeches. And he has a video he does where he shows filling a bucket with large stones and then smaller stones and then filling it with sand to fill all the space in between. And those big rocks are your priorities, right? You got to get them done. And then, those grains of sand are really precious though in the day.
Yeah.
Those moments that are unexpected with family, the smiles, a laugh, whatever it is. And so if you can schedule your priorities, there becomes time for all those other special moments that are unexpected to happen in abundance.
That's really beautiful.
So
schedule time for the unexpected.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's important.
Yeah. So what do you think is the number one piece of advice that you have for someone who's starting a business from home?
So as someone who's worked at home on and off for a good part of my career, I would say that the most important thing to do is to set boundaries. It's very, very easy, particularly if you're setting the business from home, because you have a passion to build something and you have a competitive nature. It gets very easy to get sucked into your business in such a way that it takes over a growing part of your day, week, month, year. And it's really important to set boundaries, such as, I'm not going to work on my business between 4 and 6, or Saturday mornings are family time, or, whatever it is, that the business is the business and this is this and this is that, so that it doesn't become all encompassing. And that's really hard if you're truly this entrepreneurial mindset and you have a vision for what you're creating. It's very easy to let that dream run. And that's not a bad thing. And that's why setting that boundary becomes so critical.
Yeah, I think that's important. And also setting boundaries for where you work. I mean, right now my computer's on my dining room table, and that's not ideal because it's better to have a separation, a family space and an office space. And if you saw my office, you would know why I'm not in it. So yeah, setting boundaries and blocking off time. It sounds like you have to be a little bit organized to be a business owner.
So it's definitely helpful to have a level of organization. It's going to help with your productivity. It's going to help with your results. And quite honestly, it's really funny you mentioned the space. I mean, just from a pure business standpoint, having a dedicated space just has tax advantages to your business, right? So there's like financial reasons to do things the right way. So there's family reasons, there's mental reasons, and there's financial reasons. And so it's the difference between, and there's no right or wrong way to approach setting up a business, but there's the difference between saying, listen, I want to build a business and my goal of my business is that it's eventually going to be, a venture that creates this level of cash flow or this level of, employment for other people. That's a different mindset than this is a business that's going to throw off us going on family vacations.
Right.
They're both okay answers. They're both wonderful answers. You just have to decide if you're going to start a business from home or from anywhere. Which is it that you want to do? Is it a hobby business? Is it a sustainable business that you want to maybe sell and have an exit strategy? Whatever it is, they're the right answer for you. But deciding that up front really decides on the approach that you're going to take with it and then how you want to set it up from there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really valuable. So I know that you have a history of being a business coach. Are you currently doing that? Or are you focusing on?
Yeah, I do. I spend a lot of my time working with people to help them start and launch their businesses. It's what gets me excited. Like I get really giddy hearing people like birth an idea and then helping them figure out how to get it started. It's just something that I think is so exciting to watch people go through that process. And I just love it. I'm addicted to the process of launching businesses.
So it sounds like as you're starting your new project, the new one is called ProShot, right?
ProShot Doc, yes.
ProShot Doc. So as you're starting that, it doesn't seem like you have any plans to give up your one-on-one business coaching.
Well, I never say never to anything because you never know where things are going to head.
Sure.
I have a hard time imagining that I would stop coaching and consulting with people. I might, narrow down my portfolio of how many people I work with at any given time. But it brings me really great joy to help others. So I have a hard time imagining that I wouldn't do that.
I can relate to that. So where can people find you if they want to work with you?
So they have two choices. They can go to my personal coaching website, which is myname.com, NicoleSpracale.com, or they can go to our company page, which is powervision.com. All roads lead to me. And then at some point we'll be ready to announce our launch of ProShot Doc, which is about helping kids get healthy and off the couch and playing sports again. And when we're ready to send more information out about that, we'll certainly let you know so you can maybe give us a shout out.
Yeah, and I'm going to post in the comments the radio show that we were on where we met, and it was really fun doing that together because our paths meshed so unexpectedly and so nicely.
That was fun.
Yeah, so I'll post that, but I wanted people to know where to find you in case anyone is running a business and has trouble with that work-life balance and needs some pointers on the finer things in life, like moving your office to and financial gain moving your computer from your table to your office space.
All they have to do is call their CPA, who is now very happy that it's April 16th.
That's so true. Well, any parting words of advice for our viewers?
Yeah, just relax, have fun, set a plan. I'm such a platitude person, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So set a plan, set some goals, and then enjoy it. And just know it's about the journey. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just go with the flow. And listen, if you feel like you're out of balance, figure out for the next week how to get there, and it'll get better. And just enjoy it. Especially my daughter's 18, so enjoy it while you can, because you blink and they're not little anymore. So
we hear that when they're really little, but it's like the years are, what is it? The moments are long and the years are short.
Yes. And oh yes, I fully agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. So if you are local to the Phoenix area, to my viewers, if you want to schedule some controlled chaos, come to Toddler Test Kitchen. You can see all the dates and some of the registration links. More will come available as they're available at toddlertestkitchen.net. And I am here every Tuesday at, actually, if you go to naptimenutrition.com, it'll redirect you to my Facebook video archive, which is pretty substantial at this point. You can definitely binge watch me for more than a day straight, should you be so inclined. And I'm here every Tuesday at 1:15 Arizona time, which is currently 1:15 on the West Coast and 4:15 p.m. on the East Coast, because we don't change our clocks like the rest of you crazies. And next week I'll be doing a rerun, because I will be establishing my work-life balance, as my kids will be off on Passover break from school. So I'm going to focus on them and maybe hit the Arizona Science Center, where I will be teaching Toddler Test Kitchen over the summer. So if you have any questions or comments, please comment in the section below. And thank you for joining us for this reshoot. Thank you so much, Nicole. This was really great.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, well, I'll see you next week.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.